The Auburn Tigers improved to 3-0, defeating the Samford Bulldogs 45-13 Saturday night in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Let's talk about it on this episode of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? 3-0 for the first time since 2019.
Yeah.
These Auburn Tigers are improving, man. Happy Victory Sunday to everybody out there who celebrates. If you rock that orange and blue, I know you're celebrating. I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lynn. We're feeling good, Blake. It's time to boog, baby.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. College football was wild yesterday. It was crazy. There's a lot of teams right now that aren't 3-0 that usually might start 3-0. A lot of teams out there that, struggle with teams like South Florida. Auburn did not. Auburn went out and handled business. Auburn found a way to get the offense going. I feel like it started a little sluggish early, but I think Payton took control of things and started using his legs, and I think he solidified QB1 in my opinion. We'll talk about that a little later, but I'm really proud of this secondary, man. JD, having a turnover and getting that pick. I know that's big time. I know you've been high on JD. And then my guy Simp, man, I always want to throw out 3-6 and give him the love that he deserves. Dude is just absolutely hooping right now. He is a force back there in that secondary, man. So
he's still on track for 12 picks. Just like last week.
I said 5, man. I said 5, and I think he's going to soar over that. He's already at 3, averaging a pick a game, and so I think he's playing himself into a high draft pick, man. I really do. I think he is playing himself. With the seatbelt, man, he's got to get his seatbelt back, right? He's got to get his seatbelt back. So I just love the energy this team brings, man. The slow start, they got things going. They finally got it together, and I thought it was a heck of a performance last night.
Yeah. Before we get into it, remember what I said about the jet lag? I predicted 45-10, ended up being 45-13. I thought it was going to be a slow start just off of, hey, you can get fired up to go to Cal. Then you've got A&M. This is obviously a trap game, that sandwich game. And then also they mentioned it on the broadcast, how the players told them in their media meetings leading up to it. They told the broadcast crew, hey, we didn't really feel right till about Tuesday night, Wednesday-ish. So that whole trip to Cal, man, I guarantee you we're going to look back at that game at the end of the season and say that's just a get in, get out, like you alluded to, like that Kansas State game back in 2014, just a really weird situation. Just be thankful that you won it. And I think that played a factor into the slow start. They made some halftime adjustments and really turned it on in the second half, though.
Well, what's crazy is you get done with that Cal game, right? And then you have to get everybody together. You sing the fight song. You got to go do the media and all that stuff. And then you got to take a shower and get ready to go get on the plane and everything. And you don't get home until I think they got home at 8, 9 a.m. They got back that Sunday morning. So then you got to go home and you got to sleep, right? So that Sunday is a wash. All right.
Right. You missed a whole day.
You missed a whole day. That Monday, your body is off. All right. If you've ever worked night shift and then had to go back to day shift, all right, that's what we're talking about, man. Your body feels like it's off. It feels like something's wrong. All right, because you're used to a set schedule, and then all of that got wrecked, man. So they were a day off. All right, and then they had to slowly get their bodies back to where it was used to being. And that's what we mean by switching time zones and going out to the West Coast and everything like that. It was just and you called it. You said Auburn was going to start slow. I like what they did early. I just think Payton made 2 mistakes on the night, and we got to cut those out. But other than that, I thought he looked pretty damn good.
Yes, sir. So 45-13 is the final, Blake. Let's do this. We're going to talk about what we loved and what we hated. I'll start here with what I loved. And I wasn't the only one. So everybody all week said, I want to see Payton Thorne throw the ball 30 times. Yep. They came out on that first drive, and it was down there towards the end. I thought you got a little bit too throw happy. At some point, just punch that thing in when you're half a yard out, especially on that second down. But we wanted to see Payton Thorne come out and throw the ball. We felt like those opportunities were going to be there. We wanted to start seeing a rhythm get established. We wanted to see Rivaldo Fairweather get fed. Rivaldo got fed early. I know he had 5 receptions. We'll see.
He had 5 receptions for 57 yards and 11.4 average, and his longest was a 41-yarder.
Yes. Yeah, I like that, man. Getting him established early, because you also you got up at some point, and then you kind of tone it back, but you get him established early. That lets me know, hey, in a close game, you're just going to keep feeding him. Jay Fair got fed early. He came up 7 yards short of being the first Auburn receiver to have 100 yards since VAR did opening week last year. Hewitt had said after the game that, it was about Payton, because Payton also, shout out to Dale Dappridge. Dale Dappridge was said Payton had 282, right?
Yeah.
So he was right there. He was 18 yards short of becoming the first Auburn quarterback to have 300 passing, 100 yards rushing, and who was genuinely upset that he was like, man, if I'd have known that, I'd have brought him back out there and we would have thrown it. So I also know he would have, if he would have known that Jay was right there at 100, he would have let him get it. So we wanted to see Rivaldo. We wanted to see Jay fed early. Hugh said it in the press conference. And to another point, everyone's been kind of saying, hey, he will let you know what's up in the press conference. And he let you know what was up. He said on Monday's press conference, the play calling, or not specifically the play calling, but the switching out of the quarterbacks didn't work. And I think it made the offense look awful. Well, they didn't switch it out. And we'll get into this too. I really that's how I want to see Robbie Ashford used. Down there on the 1 yard line. You've already tried a couple of other things. And then again on the second one, because he scores on the first one. So this time they have to honor they got to honor him. And then he makes the right read and hands it to Jarquez. So that's where Robbie's dangerous, man, right there on that goal line. And then because it's just a hat on a hat, 11 on 11, like everyone talks about. And at some point in a big game, if you keep doing that rollout with a tight end, with a Rivaldo coming out or a Jay Fair leaking out, that's going to have something open up. That's how you use them. Not switching him out on the 30-yard line on 3rd and 7. They used it the proper way, right? And I love to see that. So for me, Blake, it was really about we wanted to see the passing game have a rhythm. We wanted to see it get established. Other than that first drive where you're all the way down on the 1 yard line, I have no problem with the first down fade route. I have a problem with the second one because it's like, okay, you've already shown that you can throw the ball on this drive. You'd already established a rhythm in the passing game. Just run it in right there. I would have loved to have seen Jarquez right there. Just run the ball in, let him get his first touchdown. But even if it's Sean Jackson, I don't care, Damari, whoever, on that second down play, because then obviously you get the penalty on the third. You have to go back. I've seen people saying that it hit, I believe it was Jair in the shoulder pads on that interception and that it should have been caught. I will reserve judgment until Ike does the film breakdown and we get a nice look at it. But for me personally, I still felt like it was kind of forced. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Right there, I feel like you got 3 in your back pocket. Just throw it out. It's early in the game. And I won't get on this point today, but I saw people, Blake, all day chasing points, not taking points across college football. And I saw people going for it on the 28 and in the first quarter and all kind of stuff on 4th and 3. These coaches out here wilding right now. But so just throw that ball out of bounds, man. Get that field goal. And then obviously on the other interception that Payton threw, Jair's shoulder's wide open. He's got to hit that check down. That one, I'm for sure to say, was a bad decision. But overall, I thought that the passing game looked great. Payton Thorne's numbers here, I wanted to see him throw it 30 times. He threw it 32 times. 24 of 32, 282 yards, the touchdown pass. And, there was a lot of Madden stuff going on. If you play Madden, you know what I'm talking about. You'll get that 78-yard gain on Madden. You always get tackled at the 1 somehow. There was a whole lot of that, a whole lot of getting tackled right there on the 1 or 2, just not quite getting it in. So I think Payton could have had a couple more touchdowns there. But a touchdown to 2 interceptions. Both those interceptions came in the first half. I thought the second half looked a lot better. So for me, and then also on Payton Thorne here, our guy Jake Crane. And it's amazing to me that I still don't see anybody else in the media outside of Jake Crane talking about this. He said the most important part about Payton Thorne this whole year would be whether he can run the ball well enough to make teams respect the RPO. Will Payton Thorne have 11 attempts versus 123 yards again this year? No. Maybe versus New Mexico State if that's the plan. I would doubt it, seeing how the Iron Bowl would be the next week. But no, he probably won't do that. But now it's on film that he is athletic enough that you do have to respect that. You kept him in the game. Even when he made his mistakes early, you didn't pull him. You let him get a rhythm established. Your guy, Shane Hooks, with a big touchdown. I thought that Rivaldo, Shane, I thought Jair, even though it was only like a gain of 6, I thought that he boxed a guy out and went up and got a jump ball. I liked overall. Now, these interceptions will kill you in the starting next week. But overall, Blake, what I love was exactly what was my want to see, and was yours too on Friday's episode. Mm-hmm. Wanted to see Payton Thorne establish himself as QB1. You don't want to go into College Station wondering who the QB is. You're not. It's Payton Thorne, and that's what I love the most. What say you, brother?
Like you just mentioned, I loved the way Payton Thorne used his legs. I think that's going to open things up for him. And we kind of talked before we started recording, right, about I saw a different Payton Thorne when he started using his legs. I saw him start to relax. It looked like the guy was gaining confidence as the game went on. You saw a looser guy, that third down run that he had where he lowered the shoulder for the first down. Me and you talked about that. We said, hey, this guy's starting to slowly come around. All right. I feel like his feet were getting wet and things are starting to click a little bit, man. Now, I know he had the two mistakes. I understand that. We got to stop turning the ball over. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think this is going to open things up. The RPO, obviously. I didn't like that second throw, man, that second pick. Just like you mentioned, he had Shorter on the underneath, and Shorter might score on that. He was so wide open. He probably has to make one guy miss, but he definitely gets down inside the 10. He was that wide open. There was nobody on him. But other than that, I just loved the way he played. He had a little moxie about him last night, and he didn't get frustrated. Like I always like to mention, Robbie Ashford, always there when Payton comes off the field. They're talking. They're going over things. You can see these two guys get along with each other. All right. I like that. I think that is big, man. I want to see both of our quarterbacks meeting each other, all right, at the sideline. And I don't want to see what we saw last year, all right, where both of them are on complete ends of the sideline. I don't like that. So I think it was a big positive last night. He turned the ball over twice. He bounced back. He had a heck of a second half. I think these receivers are starting to gel with Payton. I think it's starting to come together. You're starting to see guys like Amari Kelly. Like, he had a heck of a grab last night. Obviously, Jay Fair is his guy. He loves Jay Fair. All right. We love Jay Fair. I just want to see – I want to see a couple of more guys that we expected to be there, right? I know we're banged up, but I just feel like we're missing a couple guys that we expected to be there. It was good to see Coy Moore get back in there last night. He was a guy that come on last year for us, and it was nice seeing him getting his touches last night. Yeah, man, Rivaldo Fairweather, an absolute weapon. And we're gonna have to pinpoint him a ton this Saturday at A&M, and we will talk about that more into the week as we break down A&M. But I think there is some secondary issues with A&M, Dustin. And I think Rivaldo and I think Jay Fair and Omari Kelly and all of these guys in that receiving room should be licking their chops this weekend when they watch film on that A&M secondary. I'm telling you, man, I think there's opportunities for Auburn, Payton Thorne, and these receivers to have big plays this coming Saturday against A&M. I really do. I think we got a shot.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the Tuesday live show. There's going to be opportunities versus Alabama secondary.
Yep.
Because South Florida couldn't take advantage of that yesterday in what was a very sloppy game where it was hard to pass the ball for anybody.
They just went off of talent. They just went off.
But the Bama secondary, if you can throw the ball, they're suspect.
Yeah.
Arkansas secondary, obviously suspect. Yeah, like Georgia secondary, if you do what you need to do on the road, there's some teams, man. LSU secondary, I believe a suspect. We'll get into this Friday when we make our pick. Next Friday when we make our picks for the SEC games. But I tried to tell y'all about Mississippi State, man. Like,
yeah,
when you're switching the way they're switching their offensive, Mississippi State fans were dogging Will Rogers. You think Will Rogers is a different quarterback? You got him running the wrong system. That's what's going on at Mississippi State. Did you see Mississippi State secondary get torched? And LSU secondary is still very vulnerable. I'm just making the point Mississippi State's not the kind of team with what they got going on offense right now to capitalize on that. The whole West. Remember the guy on the live show Tuesday that said, how can I say Auburn secondary is the best in the SEC or best in the West? I mean, I think it continues to show itself. There is yards to be had through the air in this division. There is. So you got to feel good seeing, okay, us throwing the ball downfield, not scared to push the ball downfield. Even with that pick that Payton threw that was a bad one, hey, airing the ball downfield obviously hit your check down guy, but it wasn't the timid Payton Thorne that I thought that we saw versus Cal. He settled in, let that thing go. And if you really think about it, they did the QB rotation the whole game versus UMass. They did it the whole game versus Cal. This was Payton's first opportunity to come out of halftime and still be like there was no rotation. He was just the guy. So for him to make those mistakes early and then come out in that second half, comfortable, established, really for the first time all season, he got the opportunity to do that. And you saw a much improved situation. So I'm encouraged.
One thing I want to say real quick, and it's kind of regarding all of college football, okay? And when we have a close win like last weekend against Cal, right? And we come in and we start slow against Samford, and all of the Auburn fans are, oh, man, we're garbage. Like this is terrible. Okay, look, folks, Florida State almost lost to Boston College yesterday, okay? And people, after week one, people were claiming Florida State was walking to the national title, that they wouldn't win a game under 30 points. They were going to beat the piss out of everybody they played, and it was just going to be clear-cut national champions. All right. I think Hugh Freeze makes a very, very valid point when he says, enjoy this win because they're hard to get in life. They're hard to get in this conference, and they're hard to get every single Saturday. So enjoy it, all right? Yeah. I feel like we get kind of irritated and you know, our seat starts burning a little bit and we start getting aggravated. Man, just enjoy it that we made some mistakes early and we bounced back, and we weren't in a 17-3 slobber knocker with a team that won one game last year. Okay. So just be excited for this football team, man. We have a hell of an opportunity this weekend to go to College Station, where we're 4-1 all time. Mm-hmm. You go there. It's at 11 a.m. I think that suits us well. The Aggie fans and their little cult thing they got going down there, they're not going to be into the game. They're not going to be drunk yet. Yeah. It's super weird, man, and those jokes aren't funny. But we'll talk about that later in the week. But be excited, man. Be excited about the opportunity. We got a 3-0 football team.
Yes, sir. I like that you said that. I'm going to tie that into my final thoughts. So what I didn't love, Blake, was, one, I did not love the turnovers.
Yep.
On offense. Love creating them on defense, but on offense, we gotta stop, man. It's 2 weeks in a row. There's the fumble on the punt return, and I know that Keontae Scott was out, but you gotta, I mean, guys get hurt. You gotta have more than one guy that can catch a punt. We had to put Sim back there just because he would catch it. And then on the final one, we didn't have anybody back there. Yeah. Got to get that figured out this week. As much as you're going to be blitzing Keontae Scott in that star position, as much as you're going to be you're going to be using him. He's going to be involved in a lot of contact. Keontae can get hurt. Now I don't know why, and I'm not a special teams guy, so I don't know if he still did something wrong. But correct me if I'm wrong. VAR did go back out after he muffed the first one, right? And he caught the second one.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why then you make another move, and put – I don't know. I have to get more clarification on that. But, so, yeah, that's not good, though. And then, obviously, the 2 turnovers. So, in the last 2 games, you've had 7 turnovers. Now, this is supposed to be the what I hate segment, but you're 7 for 7 on the year. Like it said, you're dead even. You've created 7, but you've given it up 7. You take away that giving up 7, and we had that 4 or 5 game stretch last year. Me and you talked about it all summer, how you're going to have to create turnovers. You're creating them on defense. I mean, Simp's got 3 alone. Mm-hmm. So, and a fumble recovery. So Simp's been involved in 4 turnovers by himself. So if you cut down on your turnovers and our turnovers, Blake, they've been in bad situations. They've almost all of them, outside of the interception last week, Thorne to Hooks, which is really just it's a bad throw. It's also a miscommunication. It's just a combination of bad things there. They've all been on the wrong side of the field from our perspective. We're driving the ball. We're in the red zone. You got to get points, man. Just you're down there. Just get the damn 3. Like, just don't make the mistakes. You want to get the touchdown, but if it's not there, you got 3 in your back pocket. And yes, it's versus Samford, so you can get away with it, but you're developing bad habits, not scoring in the red zone. Because you're going to get more opportunities. You get a stop. Me and you saw it Friday night, right? Whenever one of the slips my mind, but one of the teams was down by 2, and my brother was like, "Are they going for 2?" And me and you said, "Nope. Just kick that extra point because you don't want to end up chasing points. You're only down by 1. Anything can happen."
Baker.
Yeah, just keep playing the game, right? So what I'm saying is you're in the position, you're winning the game, you clearly have the better team. Don't turn the ball over in the red zone, man. Don't get careless with the ball in the red zone. That's something that I hate, is 7 turnovers within the last 2 games. We have got to clean that up. The 4 sucked versus Cal because you're on the road. It's a midnight kick, whatever, man. Weird situation. 3 more at home. No. And this is a ball game where you should have won 58-0, 58-7, somewhere in there. And when it was 31-13, ultimately we held it down. But Samford had the ball at 31-13, and I'm having nightmares as an Auburn fan saying, "Oh my God, this is kind of one of the situations where I bet they find a score on something goofy." And now it's 31-20. We have to play our starters the whole game. Now, luckily, it didn't happen that way. But our next 3 games now. Are they playing this way? No. But just off of recruiting, just off of talent level, the next 3 teams we're playing have better talent than us. They have better rosters than us. They've out-recruited us over the past 3 or 4 years. 2 of these are in places that both seat over 100,000 people. Listen, A&M, they're in wounded animal mode, as Josh Pate likes to say. They got their back against the wall. They know if they lose next week, it's 2-2, and boy, the heat is on. You're going to get everything that you're going to get from A&M. They'll give you everything they got. You cannot turn the ball over on the road versus a team that is at least equal to talent than you, if not a little bit better. Not saying they're the better team. I know A&M has their issues, but just talent-wise, you cannot afford to go on the road and turn the ball over 4 times like you did versus Cal or 3 times like you did versus this. And my one final thing, Blake, too many times in short yardage yesterday, we didn't pick up the first down. We picked up a 4th down because Jarquez got tackled in the backfield and was able to spin for the first down. I believe that was Jarquez. Too much of that. Now, is that an emphasis on we just knew we were going to throw the ball, maybe. But still, there's no excuse for some of the short yardage situations yesterday where we got put in the wrong spot. It might have to be Robbie in some of those if this offensive line isn't going to get it going. And my guy, Gunnar Britton, I believe in you. You're a good player. 2 penalties and getting beat on some plays that he shouldn't have got beat on. Got to step that up. And when you look at it, Blake, like I told you before we started recording, you got guys from Tulsa. You got guys from Western Kentucky. You know, like we acted like before the season started, practice reports are telling us those are practice reports, right? There's a lot of G5 guys that you think can just gel and all of a sudden be an SEC line. Avery Jones, a guy from ECU, right? Like those are all G5 guys. So can they all step up and, you know, okay, maybe. I hope Tutall's okay, all that kind of stuff. Very young, a lot of guys that still have to gel together, but it's not quite what we thought it was. And there was several short yardage situations yesterday where Auburn should just be blowing Samford off the line, end of story, and that didn't happen. So I felt like we ran the ball well versus Cal. We just fumbled it. I felt like we ran the ball well, obviously, versus UMass, but wasn't impressed what I saw yesterday. Not waving the red flag, but just raising an eyebrow. So, Blake, what is your concern? What did you hate that you saw Saturday?
Yeah, the lack of push up front, obviously, and not being able to get the run game going. That was concerning to me. Jarquez still looks a little rusty, looks off. What do you have? 11 carries for like 37 yards.
Yeah, get his ankle taped right there in the first quarter.
He was getting taped up. How many yards did we run for? It wasn't many.
Yeah, for you.
I know that wasn't our goal, but like you mentioned, man, short yardage.
Right.
We were getting blown up, and that was concerning me, especially when I look at our task Saturday with Texas A&M. What is the strength of Texas A&M's team? It's their front seven, man. It's that D line, and that's what's concerning to me. Is I look at us on a 3rd and 1, a 3rd and 2, and we go A gap, and Jarquez gets blown up. You know, like that. That is where I start scratching my head, going, "Hey, man, like next Saturday, we got to get this thing going. All right, we got to win in the trenches because that's the strength of Texas A&M. If we don't run the football next weekend at Kyle Field, and we don't hold on to the ball, we're going to lose. Simple and plain. We're going to lose. Like Dustin said, if we keep turning the football over, we're going to lose football games. All right. We're lucky right now that we've played, and no shot at any of these programs, but we're lucky right now that we have played UMass, Cal, and Samford. Because we have turned the ball over way too much. All right. I thought defense played great, by the way. I thought it was very vanilla. I thought it was very basic. I'll be honest with you. Auburn's so beat up right now, Dustin. I think it was one of those games where it was like, hey, let's just get out of here. We got SEC play next week. Let's try to limit these injuries. And, you know, I mean, Auburn's got dudes that are out right now, man. And we got to get healthy quick. The number one thing that I hated is the punt return game, man. I mean, you had the run game and the punt return game where can somebody just field it, be a possession guy, and just field a damn punt.
Okay. Like the Baker kid, right? The Baker kid's not going to return it, but they have it for Baker High, but they have him in there just to catch the ball.
What does he do? The other night, I said, Dustin, there wasn't nobody within 30 yards of him, and he called for a fair catch. He's just a possession guy. He's just back there. Hey, it's up here. I'm going to call a fair catch at the 50. All right? It's great field position. I'm not looking for a return. I'm just going to field it, and we'll take the ball at the 50. Just put me a guy back there that can catch a punt. All right? I don't want to see any more returns. All right? I know Keontae was out and everything, and I know he's our guy. But still, man, what if Keontae goes out Saturday at Texas A&M. Who you putting back there? All right. Give me a guy, man. Give me a guy. It's aggravating. Because really and truly, I mean, that's how Samford got their second touchdown. Yeah. We muff a punt and bang, they're right there at the end zone. And they stick it in. So I'm a little worried about running the football. Turnovers are a huge concern for me. Can't have that this Saturday on the road. First SEC game, like Dustin mentioned, with their backs against the wall. They're going to come out swinging. They are. They're fighting for their head coach right now. Even though
I'm going to be desperate.
Yeah, even though I don't know how many of them are actually fighting for him.
That's a good point, yeah.
We're going to find out at 11 a.m. next Saturday. So we just got to clean the small things up, man. This football team, I'm not trying to sunshine pump here, all right? But when I look at this football team can go to battle for an SEC West title, okay? I'm dead serious about that, man. You look at this SEC right now, and it's wide open. It is wide open. Arkansas loses to BYU. I can go ahead and tell you Arkansas is not a great football team. I've never been impressed with the KJ Jefferson stuff. Like you called it from the get-go. Mississippi State, not good. All right? I got absolutely drugged on Twitter 3 weeks ago, right before the season started, by Mississippi State fans because I called them – I told them, hey, you're not relevant.
Right.
You never will be. All right? I watched Ole Miss struggle with Georgia Tech for 3.5 quarters last night. I know Judkins didn't play, but still, Ole Miss should be slapping Georgia Tech around. LSU, like you said, we still have questions about their secondary. Yeah, they're probably the number one team in the West, in my opinion, right now. If I had to rank them, I would put LSU at number one. All right. Alabama, there's a mess over there right now. There's a mess. Now, do they have the talent to stay in the game and win the West? Yeah. We're never going to doubt Nick Saban and the go to college football. Like, they could figure things out. But right now, they haven't. So, where does Auburn sit in that? And you're just a few ticks away from being a really damn good football team. And I'm serious about that. I'm not sitting here trying to sunshine pump and toot the orange and blue glasses and blow the horn, okay? I am dead serious. You have a legitimate chance to go to Kyle Field Saturday and make a statement and say, hey, we're for real in year one. People didn't think that we were going to be this good, but our defense is legitimate and our offense is starting to turn the corner. So, like Damari said, drop your nuts, all right? Drop your nuts and go make something happen, period.
Yeah, I mean, for first time since being 3-0 since 2019, that's not nothing to just poo-poo on, man. Like, we're making improvements. And if you look at last year, you've got to go back to that San Jose State game, go back to that Mercer game, you know, like 45-13 win. Is it going to be perfect? No. But for one, when I look across college football, I see a bunch of teams that don't have continuity because of the transfer portal.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with us. So, again, like, we live in this Auburn cocoon. We only look on Auburn. Man, everybody's got problems. We're handling our business. The goal is to win the game. You know, you come in, I was 45-10, 45-13 was the finals. It's about what I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, like, you consider the trip to Cal, the jet lag coming into the week, everything that happened, man. I think this team go back to Harson's first year when we blew out the first two teams, right? And then you went to Penn State and you barely lost, and you were like, oh, okay. No, you just were better than those teams because of athletes or whatever. But that team had a ton of problems and they didn't really show themselves. Mm-hmm. You're seeing the problems early. Now, they could remain problems all year and it be a thing. But I'll give you this. Did Hugh Freeze not see what the problem was last week as far as QB rotation and fix it this week? Like, did it not look a whole lot better? Did we all not say all week, okay, time to get the passing game going? Well, guess what happened? Got that passing game going. Mm-hmm. Hugh Freeze isn't just going to sit back and pound his head against a wall and try to make something work that's not going to work, like we've seen with the last two regimes. I knew we weren't going to see that crap again. They kept talking on the broadcast, haven't seen Robbie, haven't seen. You're not going to.
Yep.
You're not going to. Last week was it. It didn't work. That was it. Hugh's not going to put up with that, man. He's not. He knows that this team, and we've talked about this for a long time, Blake, this team has to turn that mental corner.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a game last night when anybody that's followed Auburn, it happened to us over the last 10 years with a team like Samford. Mm-hmm. It happened to us with a team like Mercer, where this was the exact kind of game we've been in before. Jacksonville State. Remember the UL Monroe disaster where where you should be blowing them out. And ultimately, the freaking Utah State back in the day where we had to get an onside kick. Like you let these teams you're better than hang around. That could have happened at that 31-13 mark when Samford got the ball back. It didn't. They had just got that touchdown. It was a nice little quick drive they had put together. Then they get a stop. They could have done something right there. Not the most hype atmosphere at that point, not a big opponent in Jordan-Hare that night. No, they've stepped on it. They said, this is not what it's going to be. They made the adjustments at halftime. So I saw from the mental side, the progress that you can't necessarily put in stats or statistics. Last week, first Cal, shot yourself in the foot from the moment you got off the plane to the moment you got back on it. But the team, like Hugh Freeze talked about, the defense continued to come up to him and say, I got you. I got you. I wasn't in that locker room at halftime last night, obviously, but it seems to me like there was no panic. And I know we were up 17-0, but you had made a bunch of mistakes and played bad ball after playing 4 quarters and making a bunch of mistakes and bad ball. And the offense came out and said no. And they got it together, kept it clean, did what they needed to do. So I think that from that aspect, the mental aspect, that how many wins is that worth this year? I don't know. It's worth some, but what it really is worth is it's building a pillar. It's changing the culture. Mm-hmm. It's not turning off an elevator and making kids walk up because you want them to understand hard work or whatever that junk was. It's not that. It's getting in. What do we've always talked about, bro? It's in the game. When you face the adversity in the game, you got to overcome it and respond. That's the only way to start changing the narrative. That's the only way to do it, is to start making those plays. When you're down at Cal in a game you haven't been playing well, just find Rivaldo in the end zone, make the play. Last night, things aren't going well. The turnovers, all these things. But you just stay steady. We're better than this team. Let's come out here. Let's execute. Let's put our foot on the throat and get it done. I think that the culture that Hugh Freeze is trying to build, I think that the guys are having fun. Every time now with Hugh Freeze. I think the boys are having fun playing football. Fans, you should be having fun. I tweeted out last night after one of Thorne's nice runs. I said, boy, Payton looking good running the ball tonight. This morning I wake up and somebody's underneath the comment going, you're such a Thorne hater. He looked good throwing it too. That's it. He just looked good. Brother, I'm just complimenting the run, baby. I'm just complimenting the run. Get out of your feelings about this whole quarterback thing. I'm pulling for whoever's taking the snaps, bro. Let's have fun. We're 3-0. This team is making progress. Me and you went and saw the recruits Friday night. There's a couple dogs coming in, okay? There's progress being made at Auburn that can't necessarily be seen right now. Mm-hmm. We're good, man. This program's headed in the right direction. Even there's going to be losses that come this year. But I'm telling you, the mental hurdle, we're turning that aspect.
Dustin, I want to slide this in here real quick. I think we are going to lose, we're going to lose games, obviously. But, man, you look around the conference like I talked about earlier and like you just mentioned, that 8-4 is starting to look pretty damn good. Like, it looks, especially if you win this Saturday, the 8-4 is starting to look pretty damn good. Like, I can see us winning 8 games. because the rest of the conference, it's not as inferior as we thought it was going to be. All we heard all offseason was Arkansas and KJ Jefferson. I mean, they're going to the SEC championship this year. I can't tell you how many times I saw that on Twitter that Arkansas was just going to beat the piss out of everybody they played, and this was KJ Jefferson's Heisman year. And I just look around the conference, man, and I see dubs for Auburn. I see opportunities. I see opportunities for Auburn to find themselves in a legitimate bowl game. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you, man. I mean, it's going to be one of them years, like I've been saying, 2007, right? It's just every week, like you're going to think you have a team figured out, and then you don't. And it's going to be fun, man. It really is. So there's going to be games I think Auburn wins that you're like, whoa. And then there's going to be some games where you lose and you're like, oh, it's just the SEC West standings are going to be it's going to be a good time. It's going to be wild. So what we want to do, guys, is we want to get in here and show this defense love because we're 3 games in. I know who we've played, but before we do, man, look, Friday night, me and Blake went up to Foley like we've been talking about, watched Baker versus Bryce Kane, and my goodness, these 2 young men put on an absolute clinic. We will have a full breakdown for our members coming up this week. Got tons of highlights, Blake. We got all kind of stuff coming up for these guys. Bryce is just unreal. Listen, we had some messages asking us about the game day group chat. Blake, I know that you put up on the YouTube and on Twitter as well. So Twitter was the overwhelming winner of how y'all want this to happen. So for our members, next weekend, we will start a Twitter group where it'll be only for the members, right? We will be in there because I'll be honest with you, man, I don't really like to be talking to a whole lot of people during the game. I'm trying to watch the game, but you guys, we will definitely get in there and talk to you. But be talking to y'all, man. So get in there. We'll have more on this Tuesday for our live show and the Friday show as well, kind of talking about how that's all going to work. But that's what we decided on that. And for the varsity squad guys, y'all already know, man, this is going to be a really good one. We have tons and tons of Bryce Kane versus Perry. And look, it's not all going to be love. We're going to tell you some things we saw that they need to work on. But that one's going to be a really, really good one. We had a great time. It was a great game. Yeah. And Coach Marcus Davis was there. Everybody was there, man. It was a packed house. So really excited about that. If you are a recruiting nerd, then I'm telling you, get that varsity squad membership. And also for our JV guys, we are right here on getting all this paperwork approved from YouTube and everything that goes with that. We're almost done with all that. So we'll be able to get the gifts. And starting next week, we will have the game day chats. We know a couple of y'all reached out like, hey, we want to talk to you guys on game day. We've been working on it. We've decided Twitter's the way to go with that because there's these apps, right? There's Patreon. I know it was a bunches that you were looking at. We figured it like this, y'all. If you want to be a part of that, you're gonna have to create an app. So for one, the majority of our listeners and followers are already on Twitter. If you're somebody that doesn't, you don't do social media or all that, but you still want to follow our content, just create a quick Twitter, hop in the game thing, hop in the game chat. And then maybe follow me, Blake, follow whatever Auburn account you want to follow. You don't have to be a chronic Twitter user, but that's a good way for you to keep up with the content. And that's where we're going to put the group chat at. And we would love to give you guys our thoughts during the games and all that kind of stuff, and interact with y'all on game day. And y'all guys have been asking us for that for the last couple of weeks. So that's been our decision on that. We'll have more on all that coming Tuesday night on the live show. We'll break that down. Same thing Friday. So be on the lookout as well. Also, Monday, Tuesday is that Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane pod. I'm telling y'all, we're really excited about this one. This one's going to be fire. So, yeah, man. So we're excited for that one. That'll be up for our varsity squad members very, very soon. Also, you see the shirt I'm rocking, go over to thewarreport.com. Man, support us right there. Go there, get that Level Up Tempos t-shirt. That's thewarreport/shop.com. Go over there and check that out. If you have not used the 15% off up-tempo code over at Home Field, go do that as well because they got some fire stuff, boy. And I'll tell you what else is fire, Blake. This Auburn defense. I'm tired of trying to, dampen my expectations. I'm tired of saying, well, look, I know what UMass is. I know what Cal is. I know what Samford is. But on offense, we always say it's a bunch of new pieces. They got to come together. A lot of new pieces on defense, too. A lot of a new system on defense too with a new coordinator. No Kaufman yesterday. No Keontae yesterday. I think Keontae could have went, just precautionary, obviously. And then with Donovan, it's the concussion. So I don't know how long he'll be out. Hopefully next week. But, concussions usually, knock on wood, not season ending. We expect him to be back soon. And you talk about us being banged up. That is one thing. I don't know about everything that happened yesterday, but I don't think any of these guys are out for long, right? It's just a bunch of nicks. It's everywhere. It's just everywhere, right? But my boy JD coming back. Wow, I believe it was the first drive, right? His first drive back. Bodying, boy, getting the pick. I'm telling y'all, man, JD's a dog. Wait till he gets back in the flow and really gets going. But he played a great game yesterday already. With him and Kay and Lee, man, we got some young dudes back there. In the second half, Sylvester Smith played a game back there in the fourth quarter. Man, he was in on some plays. I saw Colton Hood. Dude, I saw Terrence Love. Really, really love the secondary. I love what Ron Roberts did. Blake, you talked about how vanilla it was yesterday because of no Keontae, because of no Donovan. We didn't see those exotic blitzes really that we did see. They were just trying to kind of keep everybody healthy to get in and out scenario that we kept talking about, but still looked really good. And I have to tell you something. I'm not scared to say that kid at Samford is going to make a little bit of money in the NFL. Not saying he's going to start games and light it up, but he's a roster. He'll be on a roster. That kid can play. Yeah, for Samford. Yeah, that kid can play.
And that's what I was going to say, too, is like I saw some people say, oh, we're not pressuring the quarterback. But it's also the system they run, too, right? So they get the ball out really quick, all right? He doesn't keep it in his hands long. They like to spread it out, get it out, the screen game, get it out in space, short crossers over the middle and everything. They were quick. They were quick, And, excuse me, I think that was to offset that Auburn pass rush, right? They knew Auburn was going to blitz, put pressure on the quarterback, and they were like, hey, we just got to get it out, man. And so it was very vanilla, very basic. Auburn knew that they could cover downfield. There was really no success for Samford to legitimately move the ball down the field, because you knew that Auburn's defense would eventually tighten up and make the plays. So I think this defense is legit, and I keep pointing back to next Saturday and A&M and the task at hand, and I look at A&M and our run defense, Dustin. If our run defense keeps playing the way that it's been playing, I know we haven't played a legitimate Jay Knott's good, man, but like how good is Cal? I mean, they were in a dogfight with Idaho yesterday. So I don't want to say that we haven't faced a legitimate back because, Jay Knott is really good and that backfield is really good out at Cal, but we haven't faced an SEC backfield yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so if we go into Kyle Field Saturday and our run defense plays like that, and it forces Wegman to have to throw the ball down the field vertically on this Auburn defense, I think that is a bad recipe for A&M. Yes, A&M is going to have to run the football. All right, they're going to have to establish that. And if they get into passing situations, I think that is disaster for A&M. I think it's such a bad matchup for them. It's not good. I think Ron Roberts will put pressure on Wegman or whatever his name is. And ultimately, you saw last year, he can be off, man. You get in his face, and he can be off. He can make bad decisions. If you give him time in the pocket, he's going to light you up. All right. But there is holes in that A&M secondary. There's plays to be made. Go back and watch the Miami game. They're not that great. I'm telling you. So I think this Auburn defense is legit, brother. I'm right there with you. This secondary is the best in the SEC, and we will die on that hill. I remember that question in the live show, and I'm right there with you, Dustin. I think Kay and Lee will play on Sundays. I think he will be a high draft pick. I think you're going to continuously see the real DBU produce guys into the league, and JD coming back, that's big. You got sent back there at safety. I did see Zion get beat yesterday. 10 did give one up. A little nervous about that, but he's going to be.
I think he's improved this year.
He has improved. He has. He just, I don't know. That was my one worry in the secondary, but we'll be all right. We're going to be all right. We're going to be fine.
That boy Sylvester might, if he has to slide in, he'll be good. And the kid speaks. He's looked nice. So we'll see there. And again, no Donovan or no Keontae. And on Kayan, you know who else came in early as a freshman, played like right away, and then it was one of them things where you just don't hear his name. Like you didn't hear Kayan's name versus Cal, and you really didn't hear it last night. You know why you don't hear it?
Because he's that good.
Them boys getting blanketed over there. I tell you who else does that and continues to do it. And he goes through the NFL and no one ever talks about him unless you follow me on Twitter, because he doesn't make big, exciting plays because he just got the guy covered. That's Carlton Davis.
Yep.
That's what I see. And they're not the same build and all that kind of stuff necessarily. But as far as just, oh, yeah, that guy's on my team. If you got a DB that you're kind of forgetting is even out there sometimes, he's doing his damn job. And I'm telling you, man, I'm right there with you. Kayan Lee, not only is he a Sunday player, he's a high. He's a high pick.
Good, man.
Yeah, he is a really good player. So, and to have him in here already getting these reps, like how good's he going to be next year? You know what I mean? How good's he going to be his junior year, the year that he's really ready to shine and go to the pros? We are this defense, man, I'm really excited about it. Not the numbers wise, not what Eugene did versus Cal, but he still was all over the field. I thought that Larry Nixon had another good game. We need Jalen McLeod to get healthy. We need Jalen to get healthy. When he's out there, man, he makes a big difference.
No doubt.
I think that overall, with all the questions we had about this defense, I think we have a lot to be encouraged about. I'm liking what Ron Roberts is doing. Pretty vanilla game plan yesterday versus a dangerous quarterback. And we said that with the lack of depth we have at D-line and some of these positions, we're going to have to create some turnovers. And I think Wesley Steiner has been serviceable. He's improved from last year. He's not a liability out there. He's doing his thing. So it's nice to see the improvement that's happening on the defensive side of the ball. The test starts next week. The test really starts next week, and then it gets real now. I know this 12.3 points per game will not continue, but in some of if you can, in a game like A&M, in a game like Georgia, in a game like LSU, if you can keep them to around 21 to 24, even a 27, I mean, okay, there's a chance you're in the ball game. So I think this defense can do that. I think this defense, even versus better competition, can play above average. They can play above what my expectations were of them. And I think the secondary has just proven that all the preseason hype was exactly what we thought it would be. And when you get Nehemiah back, and when JD gets back in his flow and his rhythm, when Donovan gets back, Keontae gets back, you're looking at a deadly, deadly defense that can keep this team in any kind of game. And we got some guys, man. Rivaldo, Jay. I think Jarquez is going to be okay. I'm not worried about Jarquez. Jeremiah's a big play waiting to happen. You got a defense that can keep you in the game, and then you got a couple of guys that can make some plays on offense. Yeah, man, that 8-4 is sitting there. So just clean up the mistakes, man, and keep playing defense the way you've been playing. It's the attitude on defense that I like. Mm-hmm. They look like they're having fun out there. It's that Auburn style again, that meet me at the ball, playing with that intensity. And that's the encouraging part to me. And to see the young freshmen, I mean, this is twice now, whether it be versus UMass or last night, where the first guys off the bench are a ton of freshmen. Yeah. And I like them getting those reps, and I like the way they play. Well, they make mistakes like they did versus UMass where they get that touchdown. Sure, they're freshmen. That was their first game. But you got a lot of guys in there, again, like the Hoods, the Loves, the Sylvesters, that are getting reps early. Love to see it, man. And man, I'm telling you, I know everybody wants to look at this year and how best this year can be. You get to 7 or 8 wins this year, which looks more and more to me the more I look at the rest of the West. And then you got that schedule next year. You crush another portal cycle. You crush the recruiting cycle. Man, I'm looking big picture. I like where we're at. We've played 3 games, Blake. We're 3-0. Throw your toilet papers in the trees and let's party, man. I feel good about it, Blake.
I'm right there with you, brother. I think there's a shot that with everything working out in the SEC the way it has, I think there's a shot Auburn could make a run to a really nice bowl game this year. I think Auburn could compete. That Jake Crane, Auburn finishing third in the West doesn't sound so crazy to some, now. I heard everybody say, oh, well, Auburn finishing third in the West. No way that's going to happen. They're seventh in the West. Hey, it's wide open. Auburn's got a shot. It starts next Saturday.
Yes, sir. Hugh Freeze said we got to feed VAR. We got to find Rivaldo. Obviously, VAR was hurt, but we got to feed Jay Fair. We got to feed these guys. He came out and did it. He said the QB rotation isn't what we thought it was going to be. He changed it up. It looked a lot smoother. You have a coach here that will look at the problems, will try to fix it. He understands the job. He gets it, man. And there's a ton of things the team has to work out on and off the field. They're doing it while they're winning. So we should never apologize for getting dubs, man. It feels good to be 3-0. We will see everybody back here. You got something else?
I just wanted to say one thing. And I took a jab earlier. To our friends across the state, all right? I just want to say one thing. Don't go around, all right, wanting to throw shade and try to turn your shitty performance on Auburn, all right? You sit here yesterday and you're scrambling around because you don't know who to put at quarterback, and then you want to text me or tag me on Facebook and say, oh, well, this is what you felt like the last 3 years. No. Don't bring that in here now, all right? Don't bring that. Last week, I saw you down a dude, all right? You downed him the entire day. He's trash. He's garbage. Get him out. And then yesterday, you were begging for him to go back in. Oh, please put Jalen back in. Please put Jalen back in. All right? You're lost. You're confused. All right? Everybody's making fun of you. Okay? Everybody's making fun of you because guess what? You're spoiled. All right? You don't know how to lose. You went down and played in Tampa. All right? To a team that won one game last year, got a brand new head coach, and you're in a dogfight 3-3 at half, and the best camera angle we can get because it was flooding and the lightning was popping everywhere. I felt like we were on Mars watching the game. All right. And you over here, Ty Simpson's the guy, Buckner's trash, put Jalen in. You don't know who to put in because guess what? I don't think your main problem is your quarterback. I think your main problem is your offensive line is garbage. Your offensive coordinator is dog water. All right. Your D line ain't what we're used to seeing. All right. Caleb Downs, welcome to college football, my guy, because you got absolutely truck stick. It's a disaster over there right now, but it's fun to watch. All right. But don't come at me on social media and try to flip this thing. Don't try to spin it and say, oh, this is what y'all felt like for the last 3 or 4 years. I don't want to hear that, dog. I don't want to hear that. You sit in this. All right. You sit in this and next week you got Ole Miss. All right. Yes, in Tuscaloosa, but Quinn Ewers struggled with Wyoming last night. And I think he had like 94 yards passing against Wyoming in the third quarter. And so, I mean, college football is wild, but y'all have fun with this Alabama team, man. Y'all enjoy it, learn how to lose, quit being spoiled brats, man, because this is what it's really like. You're falling down back to earth. You've been living on this planet out in space for so long, just being flat out better than everybody. And now you're falling back to reality. So, have fun with it, and don't get in your feelings when other fan bases talk a little trash.
We are about to find out who is on that bandwagon and who remembers Mike Shula and was rocking with the Tide back then.
Who remembers Mike Price? Who remembers Mike Price?
Yes, sir.
That credit card will get you.
Hey, yeah. Rest in peace to Babes, the wonderful. Oh, excuse me. It was Airety's Angels, the wonderful strip club down here in Pensacola. That cost the Bama coach his job. I hate that for him. But hey, listen, man, we remember those times. I remember Tubbs walking off the field with the 6. I remember Shula going to sit down in the chair and falling and hitting his head on the damn desk, getting ready for the press conference and everything else. So, yeah, dude, y'all. I'll say this to Bama fans before we get out of here. Listen, y'all have had your right to talk these last 10 or 15 years. You've had, but I remember all of it, and I've stored all of it. And it's been over a decade at this point of just storing. I got all the receipts. I got them online, of course, but I got the ones in the mental too. And I'm just letting you know, when that kingdom starts to crumble, these 2 guys right here at the Up Tempo podcast will be on the front lines talking that shit. But until then, War Damn Eagle, we will see you guys Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time on our live show. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed week. We're out.